what most people would have done in those situations, and just like hated life, hated corrections, hated the police, hated themselves, hated everybody, and rebelled, and just started acting a fool, acting a muck, running a big muck inside that place and ordering hits and stuff like that. I did the complete opposite, I thought, no, I'm going to get fit. I'm going to get educated. I'm going to be observant. I'm going to watch these people. I'm going to watch that person. I'm going to see what this is about, what that is about. And I'm just going to blow everyone's mind, and then so when I get out, I'm just going to be next level lethal, it's one thing being lethal with your hands and your feet and your elbows and your knees, and, but to be switched on and lethal, like, up here as well, to the point where you don't even need to use these. That's something special. That's next level. Like, that is the crew that does a proper. Beat street.
Welcome to the Fitness for Freedom podcast. I'm Dan Vansetten. I spent over a decade in prison. I've since gone on to study for a law degree. I found sport and fitness crucial to maintaining a positive mindset to get through imprisonment. Join me as I talk to people from all walks of life to hear their story of how sport and exercise has helped them build resilience and overcome adversity. Shannon Althouse, extremely grateful to have you on the discussion today, mate. Looking forward to this chat. Welcome.
No worries. Thank you.
Mate, I'd be surprised if there's anyone in Australia that actually doesn't know who you are. Just in case, can you introduce yourself and give us some information about the exceptional work you're currently doing?
Yeah, so my name's Shannon Althouse. I'm from the Northern Territory here in Alice Springs and Darwin. I spent a life on the streets, life of crime, obviously, and then gang life, and got a big lengthy sentence in prison for a crime that I had to plead guilty to under the Anti-Mandatory Sentencing Acts, and it changed my life while I was in jail to going out and doing lived experience talks now around communities and around Australia, and doing podcasts and that, and trying to encourage and help kids, and not just kids, adults. It doesn't matter who they are, what colour, what nation they're from, whatever like that. Like if they're struggling, they need help, they need guidance. Like I'm there to use my bad experiences to teaching them how I changed that into doing good.
Can you tell us a little bit about your culture and what life was like growing up as an Indigenous lad?
My grandfather and a lot of my family, they come from south of Alice Springs here. So a tribe we call Buddhism, which is they're very, very old tribe, and language is nearly extinct. So we're in the process of revitalising and getting that language out there again, and teaching the kids. So that's a little place called Portamanta or Rainbow Valley. That's where like our homelands that are here in south of Alice, 75 k's south. And then through my other side is my grandmother. We're from a community just up north, or Mataranka or Jilkmangun, which is the Nooka-Ropa region, stuff like that. So yeah, it was, growing up as an Indigenous kid, obviously we grew up in housing commission homes and stuff like that in Darwin, and grew up in the streets and that because, sometimes the home didn't feel like the safest place at times. So went to the streets, and, obviously schooling and stuff like that, it wasn't all that good either, the attendance and stuff like that. We did it, we battled, went through, tried it.
Yeah. Low on the priority.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting up to a bit of mischief when you're a young lad, or?
Yeah, definitely,
Is your connection to culture still strong?
Yeah. So I try to attend as many cultural events that I can here in Alice Springs, and hopefully Darwin in the next couple, ones that are coming up there. So I was supposed to go to the Barunga Festival this year, but I missed that. So, but I'll definitely make it next year. That because obviously that's a lot of my family and that go there are from there, So and doing the dancing and stuff. So, but yeah, definitely strong. Especially my family here in Alice Springs. They're pretty strong and culturally strong, and so any events and that happen that involve arts or any Indigenous style events, I'm usually straight there, and attending it.
Did you experience much racism growing up?
Yeah, there was definitely racism, 100%. Not just as a kid, as an adult and that too, like through schools, shopping centres, through to when we got a little bit older too, and work and then in prisons as well. Like, I overheard, even officers and that, like being a bit racist and stuff like that too. So I experienced all that as well.
How do you deal with that?
I did speak up loud and let them know that I heard exactly word for word what they said. And then they tried to reprimand me and take my single cell away and throw me down the back and, take my privileges and that away. But, luckily I educated myself a little bit on our rights and stuff like that. So which kind of, worked in my favour at that time.
And I understand, mate, that you've done 2 stints in prison. Can you tell me where you did those stints and roughly how long you did?
Yeah. So my first stint was in Darwin. I got a 2.5 year prison sentence for robbery and company. I did serve 12 months of that one. It was a prison called Berrima. So, did half of the time there in maximum security and the other half in medium. Yeah, so the time there was up and down, like a roller coaster, a lot of fighting, a few blues here and there. So, just working my way through it. Then the second stint was here in Darwin. I think it was 14 months into my stint, they transferred me to Alice Springs. Second stint was 7 years, and they transferred me down to Alice Springs, and that's when I finished. I did 5.5 years, I think, in Alice, yeah.
Yeah, and you're still serving that sentence now?
Yeah, till 2027.
And so what was it like going to the prison for the first time?
Yeah, you know what, it was definitely had the nerves rattling and didn't know what to expect, walking in there, not even going to lie, like it's the stories and all that you hear about other men getting raped and this and that, and the fights and the standovers and the shivings and stuff like that, and it's true, it does happen in those places, so.
Rapes happen in there?
Yeah, 100%. Like, they hear stories and that, and, follow some of the lads and all that have done it too, like they just open, about, obviously when child sex offenders and that come in there, they become victims of these other individuals that are willing to do that to them,
What other issues did you experience in prison?
Definitely targeted by the officers for absolutely no reason whatsoever, like when I first came in and, I don't know what the issue was or anything like that, even when I done what I was meant to be doing as a prisoner, in order to move forward and reduce my classification, get my classifications dropped from a lower class, from maximum to medium to low, and I still obviously got targeted, and my mail got messed with, my phone calls got messed with, my visits got messed with, my cells got tossed and searched, thinking that, I had contraband and stuff like that in there, even though that I wasn't even on the radar by the intel and stuff. They still, jumped to assumptions. And
what do you think sparked that, mate?
I don't know. Like, to be honest, in my head, I always just assumed that, I don't know, maybe the victim was a family member of the prison officers or something like that, or, or somebody from a club had done something to upset an officer or an officer's family, and so then as soon as, I went in there, they just thought, oh, we'll target him, like.
And what about boredom? Did you experience boredom in that first stint?
Yeah, there was plenty of that. Yeah, I still remember the first Christmas that I spent in there. They gave me a calendar, the Salvos. They come and gave us a little gift bag. A little gift bag, lollies and soft drinks, and there was a calendar in there, And me being my first stint, I seen everybody else chucking their calendars out, and I thought, oh no, what are they chucking their calendars out, and after the first 2-3 months, I realised why they chucked it out. That time just goes so slow, and you can't help but not to open the calendar up and look at the days, look at the months, count the days, count the weeks, count the months until you're getting released. So yeah, it was pretty tough.
Yeah, with nothing to do in there, mate, time just drags, doesn't it? Like when you're looking forwards, pretty much my experience was looking forwards in a sentence. You're just looking at your end date, and everything between where you were and the end date just meant nothing because there's nothing going on.
No, that's exactly right. It's just, yeah, it's definitely, and because of the routine, it's just always exactly the same every single day, like by your beds, get ready for unlock and stuff like that. Then you got to come out, do your name call, name count, and then they do a count and muster correct. And then, same thing happens at lunchtime, and the same thing happens at lockdown, and the same thing happens in the afternoon, you know what I mean? So.
And what about the administration of the prison? So when you're applying for things, when you're putting requests in for things, when you're going to the medics, what was the administration like in that first stint?
Oh, just useless. Absolutely. I found it every time I put a medical request in or anything like that, I had to write letters to the ombudsman just to get an outcome of what I've requested to medical to get. So because they just choose who, and that, because it has to go through the officers first before it goes through to the medical. So a lot of the time, the officers, if they got a problem with you or anything like that, or they'll just lose the paperwork and no, you never put a form in.
And so repeatedly sitting there waiting, you don't know how long to wait. Yeah. I actually found the administration was the worst part of prison.
Yeah, 100%.
People say, they're worried about, being fights or bashed or getting stood over or whatever it is that people think is bad about prison. The administration was the worst bit.
Yeah, definitely. It was just shocking.
And what about the second stint, mate? What sort of hardships did you experience in that stint?
Yeah, well, one of the hardest things, because I was recovering from injuries only 6 weeks before that. I think it was 8 weeks before that. Obviously I got a fellow tried taking my life from me, and I had 7 broken ribs, 2 broken shoulder blades, tore my tendons and ligaments everywhere. So I was recovering from that. And then when I got arrested, thrown in for this stint, they refused my medication. They refused to treat me, went for my injuries and stuff like that I need to be treated for. And I made staples all through my left side of my body, stitches. It was and that was infected too, because the process of that when going in and stuff, and that was a filthy place, So it was definitely and that happened throughout my entire prison stint for those injuries that I sustained from that from being run over and that. I had dramas, ever since the whole entire prison stint, trying to get any kind of medical treatment and stuff like that for them.
Mate, I know it's just hard enough getting treatment for anything, even the most minor thing. I mean, prison medical staff, their advice was drink some water.
Yeah.
You had a flu, just drink some water and have a sleep, you'll be right.
Yeah.
You got a broken toe, drink some water and you'll be right. I can't imagine what it'd be like to go in there with all those injuries.
Oh, yeah, it was definitely very, very, very difficult to try and heal in there. And the injuries were that bad. I had a shoulder operation only 18 months ago from the injury that happened in 2016. You know what I mean? So that's how severe the injuries were. But that's exactly right. And that's pretty much what they did. They said, I have Panadol. I was I got 7 broken ribs, 2 broken shoulder blades 6 weeks ago, they're telling me to have Panadol,
Yeah, just ridiculous.
Yeah, I had staples and stitches all through my left side of my body, yeah.
And even the beds, the mattress on the beds, thin mattress.
Yeah, well, they had these, I don't know if you get them in the watch house, they're the ones that you can just wipe down with wipes. They're they got a protective,
a plastic coating
plastic coating thing.
Yeah,
so it was hard as, the mattresses were, they were that hard.
Thin or a little bit of...
Yeah, the one I had was, it was probably double the thickness of the thin ones,
Yeah, no, the mattresses we had, you could feel your shoulder hitting the ribs underneath the bed. So, mate, I know you had some hardship with your sentence. I mean, you got the mandatory sentencing laws in Northern Territory, and with your sentence, you actually pled guilty to a crime that you didn't commit. Can you tell us about that?
I was looking at life. So my lawyer pretty much said to me, if you don't plead guilty to this, you're going to get 25 years, or life in jail, because there's no way in the world a jury's going to find you not guilty of the crime, of even having knowledge that this crime had been committed. Because the simple fact, obviously, I purchased the weapons that were used in that crime, but I purchased them to protect myself, because the fellow who tried killing me the first time was planning to try and run through my house and get me again. So as I was purchased those weapons, I've passed out, obviously, after taking all my oxycontins and endones and that from these broken bones. And the fellas who were there to watch over me while I was resting got drunk and went and grabbed those weapons and used them. And I didn't even know till 3 days later, about 2-3 days later, I think it was, yeah. And I still didn't even know. All I heard was, we got him, that's it. And I was like, well, who'd you get? They didn't say anything to me. And then before I knew it, TRG was running in all kitted up in army gear, and flash bombs went off. Lasers were put on my chest and my head and zip tied and dragged out by my ankles and taken to jail for attempted murder. Obviously, don't say anything, but they told me I should just plead guilty, straight out. There's it was a pretty hard case to fight. And I said, no, well, I didn't do it. I was fighting. I fought it all the way to the day of the trial. And that's when I decided to plead guilty, because the reality kicked in, once my lawyer just come to me again, the second, he's like, look, this is what's going to happen. It's hands down. You plead guilty to it, you're going to get 12 to 14 years. If you don't plead guilty to it, you're going to get 25 years. So I said, said, well, let's plead guilty then. I said, I'll plead guilty to it. So I just plead guilty to it, But
There was no deal on the table with...
no, I'm the one. Yeah, I'm the one that told him I'll plead guilty under these facts, so I changed the Crown facts.
Okay, you got agreed
So
facts.
I just made the Crown facts up just so they'd agree to it, and my lawyer even said, look, they're probably not going to agree to this. And then he come back, yep, no, the prosecution's agreed to it. So I said, oh, no worries. And yeah, one of our colleagues too, he also got done charged with it, and he actually spent another. He's from Victoria in South Australia, but he wasn't. He was there actually watching me the whole night that this had happened, and he spent $500K on a lawyer to fight this in court because he got found guilty the first time. Okay. But then he took it. They won the appeal, fought it, spent $500,000, and got his whole conviction and that overturned and thrown out of court on the simple statement, on his facts and statements saying that he was there protecting me and watching me all night and that I had nothing to do with it. And then him and his father actually fought for me, and they said, well, what about Shannon? If I'm getting off this charge, then Shannon should too, because he had nothing to do with it. And the judge says straight to him, there's nothing we could do for him. He's already pled guilty to it.
Yeah, well, if they accept his story is he was watching you all night, you weren't there, then they have to accept that you weren't there. They have accepted that, yeah. And so the fact that you pled guilty, you couldn't withdraw your guilty plea?
No. Well, I didn't even try, you know what I mean? It's after getting that lengthy sentence as it is, I could still look into it and that, because like I said, he's already gone to court, won it the second time, and got all his convictions overturned, thrown out, and on his statement saying that he was there with me, looking after me the whole night, and he even said in his statement that Shannon had nothing to do with it. He didn't plan it, didn't help anything to do with it, nothing like that. So
that's unbelievable. What sort of things did you do through your prison, mate, to help deal with these hardships?
Training was the absolute most important thing to do in there. It kills time, but best for your mental health, and to just drain your body so that you can have a half decent night's sleep if you try to,
Yeah.
You
train hard, you're out cold.
Yeah. Well, that's the mentality we had in there, So, but that and reading books,
I know you got into book reading. That was in the second stint.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us about the book and about how you got into reading? This is a great story.
Yeah. So, this is an interesting one. Yeah. So, so when I went into prison, obviously the prison food's shit, and nobody likes it. So I thought, you can get diet meals, special meals. And I thought, how am I going to get on this special meal? And then I looked up at the NT Prisoner's Handbook and realised that, if you're certain religions, only eat certain food. So you can get on special meals that way. So I told him I was Buddhist, Buddhism. And I didn't think, I did a big full request form to the chief and all that. And yeah, they accepted it, believed it, and they actually gave me dietary meals on, and it said Shannon Buddhist, and then after a little while, my mate was down in separate confinement, always blue and all that time. So 23-hour lockdown, no TV, no radios, nothing like that. And one of my little brothers, he reads all the time, and he read a book on the history of Buddha, and he come down and he's like, oh, my big brother, I remember you telling me you was Buddhist, you want this book? So I was like, oh, yeah, no worries. So I grabbed it and threw it on the bench, and every day he kept asking me, have you read that book yet? Have you read that book? And I was like, yeah. And I thought, and he could blue, like this young lad. Oh, his track record in prison for punching on is pretty impressive. So I thought, he's going to get upset. If he knows I'm not reading this book, he's going to get upset, and me and him are going to be punching on, So I started reading this book, bro, and I swear to God on Buddha, and before you knew it, every book in Darwin, in Holt's Prison, and Alice Springs Corrections I read on Zen, Buddhism, and mindfulness, yeah.
And how did that help you, mate?
Yeah, well, actually, you know what? It helped me. It kept me calm, made me a very peaceful person, taught me how to be very humble and understanding of anything and every situation and other people and stuff like that, and to be not judgmental, yeah, and just live your life without without a care in the world about what's going on, but except for in yourself,
I come across a Buddhism book as well when I was in prison, and started reading about meditations and the focus type meditations. And I know a lot of people probably think meditations is some sort of airy-fairy type process. I really found a lot of benefit of just sitting there in silence and just focusing on a certain point. And then I started transferring these meditations over to thinking about sport and exercise, focusing on my breathing when I was engaged in sport. Did you find meditation was relative to sport at all?
Yeah, definitely. Especially breathing techniques. That was a big thing, like whenever I'd feel tense, anxiety, anger, depression, anything like that, whether it was through sports, training, because you'd always get frustrated with people not training properly. Sometimes it'll make you wild,
Especially on the pads, if they can't hold the pads
you know?
properly.
Yeah. I remember that like if they missed the pad and hit you, that was a free punch straight back,
Or if they don't catch your punch right and you extend you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely that happened a fair bit in there.
Yeah, did you find it helped your sport any other way, mate?
Yeah, just the ability like to remain vigilant and calm, man. Like when you get that breathing technique right, it was like, the fitness level was next level. Like when everybody else is just huffing, puffing and all that, and you can just keep going and going and going. And, like to have the ability to be able to still think clear, think straight and see everything that's coming, you know what I mean? It's to when you're unfit or when you're not using that style of breathing techniques or meditation it's completely different,
And what sort of sport and fitness were you doing in prison?
Yeah, it was playing like touch rugby, basketball. Did a lot of basketball. They got footy in that too in there, but yeah, I didn't play much of that. And fitness, a lot of skipping, and burpees, flat out. There was just non-stop burpees every day. All we have is a chin-up bar and a dip bar, so we had to make do with what we could.
Boxing?
We did a lot of footwork, shadow boxing and stuff like that, and we tried doing pads, but in NT, like the officers and stuff like that, they see you using pads and stuff like that, they're just real anal about it, and just, they throw up a big scene, and before you know it, you're back in maximum security, and they have a whinge about it, and take your privileges and that away from you for holding pads,
It's actually not allowed in there, so
not allowed. Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, even shadow box. If they see you shadow boxing in the yard and stuff like that, they'll call up on the loudspeaker. No, you can't do that.
Is that all NT prisons?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And what about boxing bags?
No, there's no boxing whatsoever allowed in there, or any form of it. If they see you doing any of that kind of stuff, it's they'll come and yell out to you and then call you out and then tell you that they're going to write you up and report you. And
mate, we're privileged in South Australia. We got boxing bags, boxing pads, boxing gloves. Yeah, you can't spar, but anything but sparring and is allowed in most prisons. Yeah, mate, how do you think training helped you get through prison?
Stopped me from overthinking a lot. Thinking too much about me doing the stint for a crime I didn't commit. So instead of most people would have done in those situations and just hated life, hated corrections, hated the police, hated themselves, hated everybody, and rebelled and just started acting a fool, running a big muck inside that place and ordering hits and stuff like that. I did the complete opposite, I thought, no, I'm going to get fit. I'm going to get educated. I'm going to be observant. I'm going to watch these people. I'm going to watch that person. I'm going to see what this is about, what that is about. And I'm just going to blow everyone's mind, and then so when I get out, I'm just going to be next level lethal, it's one thing being lethal with your hands and your feet and your elbows and your knees and, but to be switched on and lethal, up here as well, to the point where you don't even need to use these. That's something special. That's next level. That is, and that's where I trained myself. That's where I got myself to a point where, from now on, the only other times that I've ever used my fist or anything like that is been sparring in the boxing ring. I've never actually, where before then it was on the streets, or every time, someone's house, someone's on the streets, whatever, it's let's go then, boom, 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 but now it's, never.
So when you're saying that, you're talking about using communication, negotiation with people.
Yeah, just using your ability, the power of the mind, your brain, it's it's a really good thing, I've walked in a lot of situations in prison after I taught myself about that this is more powerful than your fist. I actually prevented, there was a lot of situations where we walked into where we was, outnumbered, 5 to 10 of us maybe and 20 to 30 of them. And I've walked in by myself and just said, all right, well, what's the problem? Who wants to have a go? like, if you want to have a go, like, and we'll sort this out one on one, like one by one. I said, but like, what do you want to fight for? What's this all about? And that's where I got to the level where before it would just be like, all right, we'll just attack on sight, and then I prevented a lot of assaults, a lot of brawls, a lot of like, and made them just one-on-ones, between the two people that had the issue, instead of it just escalating and starting a big thing, and then all of a sudden it going for months and months and months, and nobody gets anywhere, and parole gets revoked and stuff like, people's loses abilities and that to be getting released and paroles, and nobody wants that,
No, over what?
Yeah. Over somebody looking at you the wrong way, or or on the telephone system, like.
Do you think you got more respect from people by negotiating issues rather than just punching on?
Oh, 100%, like, far out, like, it got to the point, like, where there was some pretty sticky, like, crazy situations that we got ourselves into, and then when I walked in there and I, like, I did exactly that and said that, like, and then, and then they pulled me aside. No, thank you. No, we know you. We've done years with you, like, we know you're a good bloke, it's just that fella over there, I said, yes, exactly right. I said, but when you're coming up and approaching us like that, I said, you're putting us all in a position and situation, I said, if you've got a problem with any of the fellas that I know or any training or anything like that, I said, you know me enough now to be able to come up and talk to me man to man, and I'll help you and sort this out, or one-on-one or whatever like that, so it doesn't have to get like this. And then, got way more respect. Even on the streets here, ever since I got out, I've bumped into a few of the lads, even a few of the lads that cause dramas and that I didn't even like, and they've come up and give me a big hug and stuff, like, oh, thank you, my brother, thank you, yeah.
Did you find that after doing that for a while that you became a source of guidance for other people? They would come to you and say, Shannon, I got this issue, can you help me, or can you help me understand this, or how do you think I should resolve it?
Yeah, 100%. Like, in that place, there wasn't a week that went by where someone wasn't coming up to me and asking me for advice or help. And it even got to a point where sometimes, like, like over the period of a year, I'd have the chiefs and even the deputy commissioner and all that flying to Alice Springs or Darwin when things were escalating pretty bad, and calling me up and trying to get me if I could mediate between everybody, And I was like, yeah, no. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. Not for years, what I mean? I was like, that's this is your prison, not mine. You know what I mean? But if the brothers in that come and asked me, I would have, But yeah, definitely no. Officer comes, no way. You just got it under control.
They obviously saw you as a person of influence, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They at first they thought I was a security risk. They labelled me a security risk. That's the reason why I got transferred from Darwin to Alice Springs, and then they put me on a security risk because of that exact same reason.
Because you're too influential.
Yeah. Because I'd go into the yard and maximum security and minimum, and like they would yell out like every single block. So there's like maybe 600 prisoners, 500 something prisoners in Sector 5. And I had every single entire block, when they see me in the yard about to train, somebody from that block would yell out, hey, uncle, what are you training today? What are you training today? And then before you knew it, when I was training, we'd have groups in every instinct, like there's B, C, D, E, F. So that's 5 different, and wings A and B. And then as soon as they seen that, that's when they thought, no, we need to get him down to Alice Springs, because I had them. They're all doing burpees every single block. If they see me running, they're running. If they see me skipping, they're skipping. Like yeah.
How did that make you feel, mate?
Yeah. It was, like it was, it was funny, but it was pretty good, like because. I was either their uncle, or a lot of them used to call me their grandfather. But up in top end, it's like Amane is the local Indigenous language. It means grandfather. And if whoever calls me Amane, I'll say Amane back. That means that's my grandson, So it means same word back, like grandson, grandfather.
Like a sign of respect.
Yeah.
Do you think that sport and exercise helped you mentally to be able to deal with these things as well?
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely a very important thing to get focused on, and keep focused on it and persistent, and just continue to do it. You know what I mean? Like that was definitely a big, major, important aspect and part of my life in jail that helped me get through there and helped me focus a lot more on everything and better myself inside a prison.
I found that the fitter I was, it seemed like the more mental stamina and the more mental resilience I had to these types of other issues that occurred from time to time.
Definitely, that's exactly how it is too.
What benefits did you see from other people participating in sport and exercise, benefits for themselves?
Yeah, well, one, it kept them fit, and we always had a laugh, you know what I mean? Like always, even sometimes we get a little bit serious on the basketball or rugby or that, like that. But at the end of the day, you always have a laugh about it all, and brings the crew a lot closer to each other, and helps you get through those times, especially like you said, when your family's passing, when your children's birthdays, or it gets pretty lonely, pretty sad in them places, and you know what it's like. Like a lot of men, we can't openly open up to other brothers inside a jail about that kind of stuff, about our vulnerabilities and that, like, because we don't want to be looked at as labelled as weak too, like it's
Deal with it internally. That's
yeah.
And you've continued sport and exercise since you got out of prison?
Yeah, I haven't stopped, like
Yep.
2.5 years now, non-stop, like 7 days a week. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think you'll ever see me a day where I'm not doing something, even if it's just like going for like a 7K walk, or, some form of exercise that I do every day. Yeah.
I'm the same, mate. I'm pushing 50 now. I feel like if I have a week off, like I really feel slack. And of course, now that you're out of prison, you've used sport and exercise as part of your advocacy, working with youth. Is that correct?
Yeah. So that's exactly right. Like my time in prison, how I managed to get a hold of all the, the emotions, the way the mind thinks and the way the mind works and the body works. And then to use that in sports and fitness and training. So like CrossFit type like Tabata and weightlifting and stuff. Like it's, I utilize that now to obviously my socials. So TikTok, Instagram, Facebook and that, make reels and all that. So people, a lot of the young lads and all that watch all the time, and when I go out to communities, and it's the first thing that they'll say to me, hey, I'll follow you on TikTok, yeah, they're like, oh, well, let's go do some training then, yeah, we'll get out there and get stuck into it,
What do you think it is, mate, that motivates them when they see you on TikTok? What do you think it is about that makes them want to come and train with you?
I think it's just because I go hard, like I smash it, like, you know what I mean? And on top of that, I do it with confidence. I do it and it's raw too. Like I don't care, what I put up there. Like I'm not, like if it looks crap or anything like that, I'll still wear it or still post it up because I look fit too. Like I look fit, look mean.
You look the part, mate.
All the face tattoos and stuff like that. They're intrigued. They actually love all that stuff. You're like, oh look. And unfortunately, a lot of the mob from communities and stuff like that here, most of them have been to jail or have family that are in jail. So because of the simple fact that I've done a lot of time in Alice Springs and Darwin, when I go into these communities and that, it makes it more open for them to come talk to me because they can relate because they've either been to jail or they've got family that are in jail. So they think, like it's he's all right. He's been in jail, with family and stuff like that,
In sport and fitness, or whether it's imprisonment, really get a lot of respect from the community and someone that's come out of the other side of hardships looking like yourself. I think that's a powerful source of motivation, especially for young people growing up, to have a mentor that they look up to and respect.
Yeah, definitely, and it's one because like you said, the fitness and the strength that I get to, like just how, like lifting weights and whatever like that, and to have the ability with my lived experience talks and reels and that I post up with real talk moments and honest moments that I speak about, about certain people inside a prison and individuals, officers, whatever like that, and call them out, like if they're being shit individuals or doing the wrong thing that goes against what they swore an oath to, whatever it is, like whether like corrections officers or police, whatever like that, I'll call them out straight away, you know what I mean? And that's why I got a lot of respect from the community mob too, because, like they don't have that, like, or they haven't got a person that's spoken up for them like that, especially in the NT, you know what I mean? Like, so, and me being Indigenous from the NT and speaking up for them and not caring about the consequences or repercussions or the possibility I could go back to jail because of still on parole and have an ankle monitor, that there gets me a lot of respect and they love that.
Just seeing you that outspoken with that level of risk,
yeah,
they know it's just out of integrity.
Yeah.
So, mate, you're now 2.5 years out, heavily into advocacy work?
Yeah.
Yeah. What sort of advocacy work are you doing?
Helping communities, trying to help kids see a better light and see that a lifestyle and of incarceration, juvies, prison, it's definitely not a nice one. It's not what you see in the movies. It's not what you see and not what you hear about, like, because reality is too. Like I see a lot of brothers and stuff like that were done jail, and then you hear them telling stories to all the young lads, like, I'll do it standing on my head and all that. And it's like, well, why are you running from the cops then when they're after you, And then when you're in there, you're the worst. You're the worst one. You're the one whinging all the time about your phone systems, your mail, your food. That's not doing it standing on your head. Like that's what it's about. Like and living a healthy life, sobriety too. I've been clean and sober now, no drugs, no alcohol for 9 years. So. I've never been as fit as I have been in my whole life, and is ripped and had the definition the way I do is like in the body. Like, that's the first time ever. So I think that's a big, big, big part. And I'm 40 soon, you know what I mean? So to be as fit as I am today and as solid and stuff like that and as fit, like at training, the way I'm training, like I'm out training some of the like 20, 30-year-olds, you know what I mean? Like a lot of them, like because I've got the cardio and the strength now too, so they've only got one, they've only got one or the other, but I've got both. So.
You got both.
Yeah.
How do you manage injuries?
The injuries have been there now since 2016, so it's kind of just like I'll feel the pain. The pain threshold will either get worse, or if it gets worse, I know to rest that. But there's certain parts of my body, in my shoulder and my knee, where it's constant. Like as soon as I start doing a squat, I can feel it. But if it's a small pain, then I know I can keep going. Like if I keep going doing certain like running and squats and stuff like that, like, and I know it'll get worse and worse. I know to back off from the legs, and I'll go to the arms or the shoulders or the chest.
Being real aware of your body and how your body's responding.
Yeah, and just and the level of pain that you're in while you're doing it, Now,
I live in Adelaide. We see a lot of negative media about the youth around Alice Springs. What do you think is causing misbehaviour?
A lot of it's to do with racism, 100%, hands down. Yep. No word of a lie. The kids actually told me that themselves. And plus, like with the coppers here, the police, very racist. It's came out in the Royal Commission and the inquest, of Kumajai Walker and that. Plus there's just another death, like from a copper to an off-duty copper to another Indigenous fella, here. And Action for Alice page, the news, like the comments in it that they have on there, the kids will tell you straight, like that's the reason why we go after these people, because look what they're writing. They want to write that and we'll treat them like that, That's what we'll go do, But it's opposite. Like when they see me, like when I've watched them and observed them, these same kids that you see driving around stolen cars with machetes hanging out the window, like sitting at like when they see me, it's they're opposite. Like they'll run up and give me a hug and, hey, mister, can you buy us a feed? And I'll buy them a feed, but I'll be like, don't muck, you better not be running a muck or anything like that. And like, if they talk gangster or whatever like that, and I'll tell them off, they'll listen to me,
So racism from the authorities itself?
100%, yeah, hands down, no word of a lie. And the community. Yeah, community is a very, very racist place too, So
kids are getting targeted, stereotyped?
Yeah, and it's, that's a big part of it. But a lot of it's to do with 100% hands down their parents and stuff, them using food money on grog or drugs and stuff like that. And so these kids, like they got to go fend for themselves, go find themselves a feed, go find,
Do you think there's other issues in the community that may be contributing as well?
Yeah, there's obviously something else going on with these kids and their lads and all that, like that are obviously leading to them to go and do these things. And I've seen video footage of Action for Alice page too, with it's adults and that sometimes taking these kids to these houses and pointing and telling them kids to go in that house, and it's all over the all over the CCTV. You know what I mean? So you can't even deny that. Like I said, like they need to get on top of it. And they need to understand it. They need to and actually do something and build something that's and something new. You know what I mean? Because everything that they've been trying for decades obviously isn't working.
No, it's
getting worse.
It's getting worse.
And then you have people like myself and all that like getting out, lived experience more, that actually haven't been there, done that, and came out and being straight now for nearly a decade themselves. Obviously, what I'd done worked. You know what I mean? So, and there's a lot of other people out there doing the same thing.
Yeah. Do you think boredom plays a part?
Yeah, boredom 100% will definitely play a part. That's no word of a lie. Boredom. Social media, Do
you think more community centres, particularly around sport and exercise or art, cultural things, music, do you think that would help alleviate some of these issues?
Yeah, I believe that it'll definitely have an impact in some of the issues. But if in saying that too, like I reckon it would have to be like a drop-in centre that they could stay over at night too, so like a safe place as well, so they could go there and like some food, maybe accommodation and that, where they could all.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, instead of because like I said, some of the dramas and that, most of the dramas, so they don't want to go home. So what they're doing is they're just roaming the streets and just.
So, mate, if you had a magic wand, how would you deal with the issues that are going on?
I just continue doing what I'm doing and trying to do what I'm doing, what I have been doing, and trying to get the message out there, trying to educate them. Obviously, I would have a lot more hands-on than what I have at the moment, between the job that I'm doing as well, plus, the community work that I do is obviously on my swing. So I do 3-in-1 rosters. So when my week off, it's not actually my week off, like when I'm having my weeks off, I'm traveling to a community and I'm doing like lived experience talks or youth work and stuff like that. So I'd definitely get rid of Action for Alice page and some of the other social media pages and stuff like that.
But it doesn't help, does it?
Nah, definitely. It really doesn't, and it's something like the whole entire community need to be involved in. Like I'm talking, it doesn't matter what your race or anything like that. But and I'm not talking about letting the racist people come in. I'm talking about like people who actually want change, people that want to help, people that can see that there's good, and because Alice is a beautiful place, So just need to get back on top of it and how it was back in the past, and the things would just start running sweet again.
What would help you do your advocacy work better?
More work, receiving more work, to educate myself a bit better on, what is going on and stuff like that, and how we could fix it, and on top of that, obviously get some funding, and not get, because of my past, or like they always seem to bring something like that up. Oh no, but he's this, or he used to be that, or rah rah, like, and there's always people trying to block you through that path, no matter how long I've been doing the right thing. But which is pretty silly, because if we was to get like a Royal Commission or Freedom of Information about the workers that are currently working for them today, and the complaints that have been put in by their work, like by the kids or whatever like that, or even by their own workers to their workers, I guarantee you that there'd be dirt on a lot of them, you know what I mean? Like, and pages and pages and pages on, but they can still continue to work there, no matter what the complaint was about,
What would you do with the funding, mate?
Social media is a big thing now, TikTok, stuff like that. So I would probably just invest in like GoPros and stuff like that, travel to communities, obviously hire people to come with me, like whether it's musicians, the brother up in Darwin, Damo Duffy, the wild man, like to come and do educational talks and that with the kids about, the wildlife and stuff and that like as well. And he, and record it all and like make reels and stuff. And so then they put their communities and that on the map, and just talk about all the good stuff that actually happens there and all that, and give them a life teaching and educational lessons from obviously somebody that's lived it, came out of it, and still just keeps moving forward no matter the hiccups. And like I've had hiccups along the way too in the last 2.5 years. So lucky I've educated myself and trained myself in order to be able to just not interact or get involved in any of that kind of stuff, and just keep moving forward, not letting it bother me. Just, who cares? Let's keep going.
But coming near the end, mate, how important would you say that sport and exercise was for you to go from where you were in the past to the position you're in now?
Yeah, it definitely taught me discipline, to be able to get out there, physically get involved in the training and stuff like that. It's just hard work, like to start off with, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people don't realise, like especially people that are already fit, they forget how difficult it was to get fit to begin with. So to get out there and do that training and stuff like that, and then how hard it is to go from how I was, like, I remember when I first went to jail, I was 115 kilo, and then when I got out, I think I was like 81, 82 kilo, but absolutely shredded. And I think I'm sitting at 100 kilo now, and, like pretty shredded. So, like the discipline and the motivation and stuff like that, it just gives you, like, it's just next level. Like, you just want to keep doing something, keep want to going and going and going and going and going. And that, like, in the words, oh, it's too hard or anything like that, like, just goes, like you don't even think about that anymore. You used to say that when you first started training, like just one more rep, or, no, I can't, it's too hard, but now it's just, well, it's not too hard, you did it.
Mate, honestly, your journey is inspiring. I'm really enjoying watching you on social media. You're inspiring people all around the country. Mate, you're definitely making a big difference and getting a good following, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today. Forward to seeing a lot more great things from you in the future. Appreciate the discussion, mate.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Come on now. Surefire, rhyming, stitching, cut with the tongue sharp, and an obsidian blade. Living in the city of renegades, under the back of the